Hello children, let me welcome you to the virtual class of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher. Children, we are in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic, and because of that we are not able to go to school, but that doesn't mean we are going to stop learning. So we are going to do many lessons which are very interesting from your textbook through the virtual class here. So let us do a lesson in English today. Children, let us start with a lesson in Standard 8th English. And the lesson that we are going to do today is a very beautiful poem about a very important part in our life. Now, as we are growing up, we have learned that it is very important for us to work, isn't it? We should work so that we are active all the time. But there is also one saying which says, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. That means if we focus only on working and if we do not have any free time or we do not have any kind of relaxation for ourselves, then that is very bad for our health, not only for our physical health but also for our mental health. So today's poem is going to tell us exactly that. It is going to tell us how leisure is important to us. So leisure means the time where we relax. So this is lesson number 3.4 in your English textbooks. And this poem will tell us how important it is to work as well as to balance our work with some free time. So do we get free time? Yes, all of us get some free time or the other, isn't it? For example, every Sunday we have a holiday, and when we are in a school now, so now we are having in the middle of this pandemic where we are at home most of the time. But in the normal days, in the normal school time, children, we get a lot of holidays and we get some vacations also. We get holidays for Diwali, we get holidays for Ganpati, we get holidays for Christmas. Okay, we get a long holiday in the month of May for summer. So this is a time when we get to relax, when we are at leisure, when we do not have any responsibilities of studying or working. Okay, so what do people do when they have leisure time? So what is leisure time? Leisure time means time where you are free from your work and your studies. That means you do not have anything much to do. So you are relaxed. So what do we do during our free time? What do we do when we are in the vacation time? Or what do we do when we do not have any work to do, when it is a Sunday? So some of us, we go out and play with our friends, isn't it? We call our friends to our place or we fix up a place where we all of us can play. Sometimes we go on a picnic also. See, these children are out on a picnic on the seashore. Some of us just like to sit at home and relax. So we do some TV watching or we read some comics and books. And of course, we play, isn't it? We gather with our friends and we have a fun time. So, leisure time is used in all these manners. And imagine when you go out for a picnic, how fresh your mind becomes. You get charged again to come back to work or go back to school with new energy. So that is how leisure time is very, very important. And children, let me tell you one more thing now. In today's times, you must be seeing your father, your mother, sometimes your elder bhai, your bhaiya, your didi. When they go to our office, they have a lot of tension in their office. They have a lot of work. They bring that work back home. And even on Sundays, you will see that they are continuously working, either on their computer or they're talking on the phone. That means they do not get much of leisure time. In today's time, life is so fast and we need so much money that we are simply running a race and we do not give any kind of rest or relaxation to our body, which is wrong. So let us see what this poem wants to tell us about. But before that, let us prepare an acrostic from the word leisure. Now, all these words which we are going to write have to be related with what one likes to do in free time. So, we've discussed a few of them. Okay, so you're supposed to make an acrostic. What is an acrostic? You will write a word which begins with this letter. So, leisure has got Leisure. So, see, as an example, with R, you've said reading stories. So, you like to read stories when you are free. Let us try to make an acrostic with these words, with these letters. Now, children, this is what I am writing. Okay, this is my thinking. This is again subjective. I will write lays around. Now, that is my idea. You can write something else. Okay, so these are my ideas of what I like to do when I've got a little bit of free time in hand. So, I would like to laze around. Laze around means just lie down here and there, or just sit down here and there without bothering about any work. So that is one idea, one way in which I would like to spend my free time. Or I would exercise. That is, I would go out, I would walk, and I would run, or I would do some exercise. I would also love to do some internet surfing when I am free. That is, I would like to open my computer or my phone, open Google or open YouTube, and try to look at new things when I am free. Then I would also like to sleep a lot. This is the favorite thing I like to do when I have some free time. I would like to sleep and sleep and sleep when I get some free time. Or I would also use it to learn something new. For example, if I want to learn a new recipe, if I want to learn a new way in which I can use the computer, if you want to learn anything new. Okay, if I want to learn how to do cycling, so that is what I would like to do in my free time. Reading stories is of course written here. Then I would also like to earn some extra money, if possible, in my free time. So see, these are my ideas of leisure. This is what I would like to do. So now let me give you a small assignment here. You might agree with most of the points which I have said, but try to write some points of your own. That is what you would like to do in case you get some free time. So this is one assignment which I am giving you, assignment number 1. Okay, now let us move on and let us look at the poem now here. So leisure is the name of the poem. So I already told you what is the meaning of leisure. The meaning of leisure is when you have some free time and when you want to spend it in the way which you like without bothering and without worrying about anything else. So, but the poet here says that we do not have any leisure. That is what the poet wants to say. That in today's life, we do not have any leisure time. So, let's read the poem and try to understand what he is trying to say. So, what is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. So, see, if your life is full of care, you're always worried about something or the other. You're worried about why you're not able to go to school. You're worried about you're not being able to meet your friends. You're getting worried about how you will appear for the exam this year. There are so many things that you're worried about that you have no time to stand and stare. Stand and stare means just spend time without any aim. So you have no time for that because you're full of worries. You're full of care. Life is full of care. Now, children, this poem is not so applicable to you as students. This is more applicable to elders who have a lot of responsibilities in life. Okay, they have to earn money, they have to look after their family. So this is more applicable to the elders. But at the same time, you can also learn a lot of things from here. Very soon, you will also be elders. All right. No time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep and cow. So you do not have any time to stand beneath or sit beneath the boughs. Boughs means the trees. And stare as long as sheep and cows. You must have seen these cattle, sheep, goats, etc. They sit in a place and they keep on staring you will not be able to say what they are staring at. And they also keep on chewing, okay, the food which they have eaten. So we do not have time as human beings to sit beneath the trees and look at the nature just like sheep and cows do. No time to see when woods we pass, where squirrels hide their nuts in grass. So even when we are passing through the woods, we are passing through the forest, or we are passing through a garden, we are in such a big hurry to reach somewhere that we do not even have time to see where the squirrels hide their nuts in the grass. The squirrels, they gather the nuts and they hide them in certain places where they can eat it afterwards. So we have no time to look at that also. That means we do not have time to admire nature at all. Okay? No time to see in broad daylight streams full of stars like skies at night. So, have you ever stood and looked at a stream during daylight? You will see that when the sun shines in the water, it looks like there are thousand stars which are dancing in that particular water, just like there are stars in the skies at night. So, we have no time for that, unfortunately, because we are rushing, we want to go somewhere else. No time to turn at beauty's glance and watch her feet how they dance. We do not have time to look at any person also if that person is beautiful. We do not have time to look at any natural thing also if it is beautiful and see how it is dancing. Now here it doesn't mean only a beautiful person dancing, but you can also say sometimes you see trees waving beautifully. Okay, you can see the waves in the seas dancing, but we do not have time to see any of these. Okay, because we are always very busy. No time to wait till her mouth can enrich that smile her eyes began. So if someone or if nature itself is trying to smile at you, sometimes a smile starts in the eyes and it reaches the mouth, but we do not have time to wait that long to see the smile reaching the mouth from the eyes. A poor life this is, if full of care. We have no time to stand and stare. So, standing and staring means just spending time aimlessly. So, leisure. So, that is what they're saying. Our life is very poor if, in spite of all the money that we might have, in spite of all the property we might have, but it is a very, very poor life if it is full of care, it is full of worries, and we have no time to give ourselves. Okay, so what does a poet want us to do here? He wants us to give ourselves some time to keep ourselves free from our responsibilities daily. Okay, so this was about the poem. Let us once again try to understand the gist or the summary of the poem. So the poem is about how people are too busy to take time to relax and to enjoy life. The poet uses the word we to include himself with the rest of the world. That is, most people around him. So he's trying to say that not only the people around him, but he himself is so busy that he does not have any time to do anything which he likes to do. He states that we are too busy with our lives to appreciate life and nature. So nature is so beautiful, the things around us are so beautiful. If you take some time, you will not only get relaxed, but also you will understand how fortunate we are to be living on this beautiful planet. And when that realization comes that we are so fortunate to be living on this beautiful planet, automatically you will want to nourish, you will want to cherish, and you will want to save this environment. Okay, you will not start using it mechanically. You will start valuing the things that you have around you. We just do not have time to relax and look around us. He says that if we do not take time to relax, we will have a poor and stress filled life. You see, many people today are suffering from different kind of diseases, like people have high blood pressure, people have diabetes. All this is because of the stress that we have in life. Therefore, the poem encourages us to relax a little bit more. So you do your work, of course you're supposed to work. All of us are supposed to work. At the same time, we are also supposed to relax a little bit. Okay, so that is what the poem wants to tell us. That is what the poet wants to tell us. Moving on, once again, let us see the gist of the poem. So the poet reminds us to take time to appreciate the beauty of nature and to be thankful to God. He also says that if we are too busy with our daily lives and we worry too much, we forget to watch and admire nature's beauty. The poet again tells us it is a sad life if we can't find time to relax and appreciate the nature around us. So we might think that we have a lot of money, but unfortunately, it is a very sad life if we cannot find time to relax and appreciate the nature around us. Now let us directly go to the exercises that we have in our textbook. So say where. This is the first exercise from the English workshop part. Say where. So where do the cows and sheep stand? So where do the cows and sheep stand? Yes, they stand beneath the boughs. Where do squirrels store their food? The squirrels store their food in the grass. Always try to attempt to find the answers yourself. So whenever you come to a place where there are questions like this, pause the video and try to find out the answers yourself. I keep repeating this each time so that you may not forget. Where do stars shine in the daytime? The stars shine in the stream during the daytime. Where does beauty's smile begin? Beauty's smile begins in their eyes. Okay, so this is the first exercise that we have from the English workshop part. Let us try and do the next one now. So say where the images from nature given in the poem exist. So there are many images, like for example the first one, beneath the boughs. So beneath the boughs means beneath the trees. So where will you find these trees? Will you find them in the air, on the land, or in water? So the first one, beneath the boughs, you will find it on land. So these images you will find on land. These part of nature you will find on land. The next one, squirrel hide nuts in grass. So where will you find it? Again on land. Streams in daytime. So streams means something to do with water. So where will you find it? Obviously in water. Stars, skies at night. Yes, this you will find in the air. Alright, so these are the different places in nature where you will find these things. Moving on, let us go to now these two exercises which we did, children, were towards the end of the lesson. Okay, we had certain exercises based on figures of speech which we will see now. So I decided to take all the figures of speech which are mentioned in the lesson together. So you have around 3 or 4 figures of speech. Let us start with personification. So they've asked you to pick out 2 examples of personification from the poem. Now let me tell you, children, towards the end, that is after we finish the portion in the textbook, I will be putting up 2 videos based on figures of speech where we will be looking at all the common figures of speech that we have in the English language, especially in our textbook. So one of the more easier ones, or one of the more simpler ones to understand, or the more commonly used ones in your English textbook is personification. We have also done this many a times before. So let us look at what personification is. Personification means giving human traits to non-living things. So when you give human qualities to things which are not human, then you say that it is personification. For example, the man in the moon smiled at me. So see, the moon cannot smile. Okay, and the man in the moon There can be no man in the moon. So it is as if you're saying that the moon is a living thing and the person who's supposed to be the moon is smiling at you. So this is an example of personification. You're supposed to pick up two examples of personification from the poem. We will do that, but let us look at some more examples of personification. So personification in other words means giving human qualities or actions to something that is not human. Okay? See, for example, the trees waved goodbye as our school bus passed. So there are trees on the roadside when your bus passes. The trees wave in the wind. When there is heavy wind or there is a fast wind blowing, the trees might wave. Wave means they might go from one side to other side. That doesn't mean that they are waving at you. Trees cannot wave. Only people with hands and limbs can wave. And on top of that, they're saying that the trees waved goodbye as your school bus passed. So that is an example of personification. You're personifying the tree. Okay? One more example is, see, it is a non-example. When you say trees swayed in the wind, so that is natural. Here you're not personifying the tree. Trees do sway in the wind, but they do not wave. So now you understood the difference between what is personification and what is not. Now children, you will wonder, why does the poet have to write such things when such things do not exist? That is to make the poem more interesting. So figures of speech are nothing but techniques which are used by the poets in order to make the poems more interesting. Okay? Now, let us look at some examples of personification. The more examples you see, children, the more the idea will become clear to you. So the car danced across the icy road. Danced across means the car is skidding. Icy roads are very slippery. So sometimes the cars slip on these icy roads and they slip from this side to that side. So now they are saying the car danced. Can the car dance? Of course not. Cars cannot dance. Only human beings can dance. Or certain animals also can dance. The angry clouds marched across the sky. So see, angry. Now being angry is a human emotion. We can get angry. Animals can get angry. Okay? We can become happy, we can become sad, we can get angry, we can get excited. But inanimate things, things which are non-living, for example, the bottle that you have, can the bottle get angry on you? Or can your TV get angry on you? Can your computer get angry on you? No. So what are we doing? We are giving qualities of a human thing, of a living being to non-living things. That is why it is an example of personification. The next example, the stars in the clear night sky winked at me. So stars twinkle in the night sky, isn't it? Why do they twinkle? There is another reason for it, because the light from the star passes so many layers of gas and they come to you. They come through the atmosphere. That is why it looks as if they are twinkling. Or in other words, here it is said that they are winking. What do you wink? How do you wink? You shut one eye to wink. But the stars cannot wink. Alright. So it is an example of personification. The next example is just like the example of the trees dancing or trees waving. So the tulips nodded their heads in the breeze. So nodding. When do you nod your head? When your mama tells you, do you want one more roti? You nod your head to say yes. Okay? You nod your head to call someone towards you also. So the tulips, can they nod their heads? They do not have heads in the first place. Alright? So this is also an example of personification. See, now let us pick up two examples of personification from the poem. No time to turn at beauty's glance. Now here beauty means nature. Nature doesn't have an eye and it cannot glance. So this is an example of personification. A poor life, this is if full of care. A life cannot be poor. A person can be poor. Okay, so a poor life is an example of personification. Try to read some other poem or some other this from the textbook or from the internet, some other poem, and try to find out some examples of personification. Now, we have to pick up from the poem two examples of each of the following figures of speech. So we have a few figures of speech. You are supposed to pick up examples of each of the following. So let us try to understand which figure of speech first, and then we will look at the meaning of the figure of speech, and then we will go and try to pick up the examples. So alliteration. Let us see what the meaning of alliteration is before we go and pick up some examples. Alliteration. The use of the same beginning consonant sound in a line or a verse. That is alliteration. See, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. The sound of the letter P, the p sound, is repeated. That is why it is alliteration. And see, it is repeated in the beginning of a line or sometimes a verse or also a word. Okay, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So this is the meaning of alliteration. Let us look at some more examples. You should read this loudly, okay, focusing on the sound which has been repeated. See an example. Let me read it for you. The first one. Curious cats can catch a cold. So see, the k sound is repeated. Read the lines loudly as you can, stressing on the sound of the letter which is repeated. Second one, frogs frequently frolic in fresh water. So sound of the letter F in frogs frequently frolic and fresh is repeated. 11 elegant elephants and an elderly elk. The sound of the letter E is repeated. Will Walter wait for wonderful Wendy? Sound of the letter W is repeated. So these are all examples of alliteration. Let us pick up alliterations from the poem now. We have no time to stand and stare. So the sound of the letter S, the sound is repeated in stand and in stare. The next one, streams full of stars like skies at night. So the sound of the letter S is repeated in streams, in stars and in skies. Okay? Let us go to the next figure of speech that they have asked us. So we are talking about simile now. So a simile is a comparison using the words like or as. It usually compares two dissimilar objects. So when there are two different things which are being compared to each other using the word like or using the word as, then it is an example of simile. So it is basically a figure of speech used for comparing or for comparison. So see, some examples are, those girls are like two peas in a pod. So how are two peas in a pod? They are very similar to each other. Have you seen peas in a pod? Now is the season of Watana now. Okay, you can see a lot of green peas in the market. So when you open up one particular pod of a pea, you will see two small balls, that is two small green pea inside. You will see that the two peas in a pod are same. Okay, so there are two girls who are very similar to each other. So they are being compared to peas in a pod. Now see, there are two different things. The girls and peas have got nothing in common, but even then they are being compared. The next one, the baby was like an octopus grabbing at all the cans on the grocery store shelves. So a baby, there is no comparison as far as a baby and an octopus are concerned. But here we are comparing them using the word like. So it is an example of simile. You could also use the word as. Okay. See here. He crept into the room as quiet as a mouse. So quietly he crept into the room. So he's being compared to a mouse. See here in this example, we are using the word as. The cloud was fluffy like cotton candy. Again, we have used the word like. You're comparing the cloud to cotton candy. The snowflake sparkled like millions of tiny diamonds. Snowflake means a small piece of snow is being compared to diamonds. The last one, he was as angry as a grizzly bear. So here again you're using the word as to compare him with a grizzly bear. Grizzly bear is a bhalu. Okay, so these are all examples of simile. Now look at the examples of simile from the textbook. Streams full of stars like skies at night. Okay, so we're comparing the stream to the skies at night. Then you have and stare as long as sheep or cows. We're comparing ourselves with the sheep and the cow. The poet compares the life of humans and the life of animals. Okay, now we come to the next one, that is metaphor. Now this, let me tell you, it is another figure of speech where you use comparison. But here we compare by saying that one thing is another. We do not use the words like and as, but we say one thing is another. For example, see, she is a walking dictionary. So you are actually comparing her to a dictionary, which means that she knows a lot of words. Her vocabulary is very large. But then what are you saying? You are saying that she is a dictionary. So you're not comparing indirectly, you're saying that she is a dictionary. See, the sun was a gleaming pearl. My baby brother is a cute little teddy bear. So the sun is compared to a pearl, or the sun is called a pearl, and baby brother is called as a teddy bear. We are comparing the baby brother to the teddy bear. My sister's memory is a camera that remembers everything we see. The sister's memory is being called as the camera. The car seat is a fluffy cloud. So the seat of the car is being called as a cloud. Custard is happiness in a bowl. What is custard? When you eat custard, you feel very happy. So your custard might be your favorite thing. But you're saying custard is what? It is happiness. So you're comparing custard with happiness. So these are all examples of metaphors. Now we come to the last, you can say, figure of speech that we have for today. That is a rhetorical question. Now rhetorical question is of course a type of question. It uses a question mark towards the end. But then a rhetorical question is a little different from an ordinary question. Why? Because rhetorical questions are used for effect and they are not supposed to be answered. So no one expects that you will answer that question. It is only said for effect. The answer is already known. So why are rhetorical questions asked? Because it draws the audience's attention to a specific area. See, so questions which are used for effect that are not to be answered are called as rhetorical questions. So rhetorical question is self-evident. Self-evident means it is understood what you want to say. It is only used for style. The answer is not expected at all, and it is used to emphasize a point or draw the audience attention. When you ask a question, what do? You draw someone's attention. For example, if you're doing something which you're not supposed to do. Suppose your mother has asked you to study and you're watching TV. Suddenly your mummy comes in and she says, "Is this what I asked you to do?" So she doesn't want you to say, "No, this is not." She's telling you that this is not what you're supposed to do. Okay, so it is used for style. So this is about rhetorical questions, children. Let us look at some examples. So are these the remedies for a starving and desperate populace? So this is not a remedy actually. What they want to say, this is not a remedy. If you prick us, do we not bleed? It means if you prick us, we will bleed. If you tickle us, do we not laugh? That means if you tickle us, we will laugh. If you poison us, do we not die? That means if you poison us, we will die. And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? That means if you do something wrong to us, we will definitely take revenge. So these are all examples of rhetorical questions. Let us take one example from our textbook. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. So this is a line from the textbook which is in a way asking us, what is this life if full of care? It is telling us that this life, if it is full of care, it is of no use. Okay? So children, this was the poem for you, Leisure. We looked at the poem, we read the meaning of the poem, we tried to understand the hidden meaning of the poem as well. Okay, and we also looked at some examples of the various figures of speech that we were supposed to do here. So this is all for today, children.
So children, wasn't that a very interesting lesson? I'm sure you learnt a lot of new things in this lesson. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my video so that you will get to see all the videos which I keep posting regularly.